Hi everyone. In this episode, we're going to be discussing some insights from our UX heuristic review of Whoop.com. So, for anyone that doesn't know about Whoop.com, Whoop sell fitness tracking watches. They track your sleep, your recovery, and strain, and ultimately help users to optimize their kind of sports performance and overall health. I'm joined today by my colleagues Paul and Crystal. They both bring years of experience, hey guys, of working with a range of clients across kind of UX strategy and also UX design. So lots of great kind of knowledge and experience to be drawn upon today. We use these Miro boards to facilitate our UX heuristic reviews here at Speero. These help us to run kind of workshop-based sessions and to assess the user experience and gather lots of insights from a range of different people with different experiences in terms of UX best practice and heuristic guidelines. So we essentially color code the insights based on our kind of set of UX heuristics. You can see those at the top of the screen. So motivation, relevance, clarity, value, friction, distraction, and trust. And essentially what that helps us to do by color coding is to kind of have a quick look at the screen and identify themes. Even if the post-it notes are really small, we can't necessarily see what's written on them. What we are able to see is that here, for example, it appears that there's quite a lot of opportunities and issues identified around the topic of clarity in particular. So let's get started. Crystal, from a clarity perspective, what was it that stood out to you as, I guess, areas of opportunity and issues from a UX point of view with regards to the Whoop.com user experience?
When I landed on the Whoop.com, then the first thing that I noticed was that there's an event. So I actually thought that this is an event page, not a product page. Well, I got interested. What is this? What is this event? So I clicked the CTA button, but there wasn't really much information about it. Who are the world's highest performing athletes and leaders who will be on this event? So it was very vague and not informative at all. So like a big clarity issue here. And when I was on the homepage for like 10 minutes, then I got this pop-up saying that there is actually some people with images, but there weren't any names. So it's a big clarity issue. Why is it relevant for me? And it's actually a product page, not event page.
Yeah, sure. Totally agree with that. I think it would be super interesting to kind of see the data in terms of the impact that this has had on like engagement with the homepage, bounce rate, for example.
The image or the video, it takes a lot of room. Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess like I know what Whoop is because I've heard people talking about it and things like this. But if you don't know Whoop, maybe somebody's just like mentioned it to you, or you've clicked on an ad, like you land here and you literally still have no idea what Whoop actually does or what it offers.
When I was looking at the site for the first time, I noticed this event. It's in this panel above the navigation. It's also taking over the hero. I think as you were talking about, it's primarily a product. And so when I was wanting to find out a little bit more about it, I was looking at the navigation and it didn't necessarily sort of speak out to me where I should be going. If you look at membership, that is the direction in which you need to be going. However, Whoop has a really interesting proposition in that it doesn't sell its physical product. It's part of a membership. Unless you know that, you're not going to be directing yourself to the membership section. So I kind of listed this as relevance. And I thought that the product itself maybe needs to be easier to find rather than having it listed under membership. You would need to know about the proposition up front in order to go down there. But even if you do, the navigation themselves has just as much weighting on sections like accessories, support, and the blog section, which is called the locker, strangely. So it's not an easy thing to go straight into product and look at product purely from the navigation.
I noticed some, I guess, kind of consistency issues with the navigation. So to your point, Paul, there's quite a lot within the navigation, even some elements that could be described as like secondary elements. So like the blog or the locker, as they label it, accessories and support. When you click into some of these elements, the whole navigation changes. You obviously sort of change onto a subdomain, and the whole nav changes, not only once, but actually twice. So that's the support section. But I believe in also accessories, you move into this like more of a shop based navigation. Everything changes, like the logo moves, the join call to action changes what it looks like from like a red and white call to action to a solid red call to action.
When you click on membership and you see a plus next to it, your expectation may be that it would open up into an accordion. What it does is it takes you to the top page, the top membership page, rather than opening up this accordion, allowing you to go deeper. It's a bit of an interesting one to make people have to click on the plus or the minus in order to use the navigation. And I think that for people on mobile who don't have the ability to hover like they show the menu in desktop, it may drive them to this top section of the page sooner rather than they would want. It's an easy thing to fix, and I think that's probably something that they should look at doing to make it easier for mobile navigation.
Paul, was there anything in particular that stood out to you with regards to friction points with pricing within the sort of join sign up journey?
Yeah, so you mentioned it. It talks about joining quite a bit. You can click on the join now button and it will talk about joining for as low as £30 or $30 in this instance. If you went straight through the journey and you weren't worried about the straps, you went straight to the price, you would actually see a cheaper price than what's listed there. The challenge is when you're showing this membership, it has 3 different tiers. It has this 12-month or annual membership, it has an 18-month membership, and then it has this monthly membership. What they're not doing a great job of communicating is that the 2 annual memberships are an upfront cost, and the monthly membership is a sort of pay-as-you-go one. And that sort of speaks to different type of user groups who they're trying to attract. So I really think that there is an easier way of trying to drive people to the right tier for them. And I've listed some fears, uncertainties, and doubts that I have at this point, such as, can I change the plan later down the line? Can I start with a monthly membership, but then convert to an annual membership? Or once I've chosen one of these tiers, do I have to pay that amount every single month? There's no way of answering that question at this point. I just have to choose one and hope that I can. So I think that there are some friction points here, a lack of clarity, and again, this question of value of which one is better for me.
In multiple places across the site, I saw this messaging that said that the strap was free. And then I would just have to kind of, if I signed up for the membership, the strap was free. So I went very much into the join journey with that piece of information in my mind. Got to this page, decided to pick, a nice looking strap. So I went with this like turquoise color, clicked here, join now, say I pick this one. And then all of a sudden, I've got £54 to pay. And this was a real like friction point for me when I was going through the journey, because I was like, well, you've told me that it's £30 a month. You've told me that the strap is free. Where has this additional £35 come from? So I tracked my sort of journey back and actually discovered that in this tiny little font here, in this little grey colour, the additional colours or the alternative colours are actually £35. Only the black strap is the free or included strap. Now, I think there's a few reasons why I missed that. Probably, as I mentioned, around like font size and the color of the font. But I think actually more importantly, like the position, like I'd already moved past this section when my eyes are kind of looking here and scanning the different colors.
Why is it any better than my current Apple Watch, for example, or Fitbit? Why is it any better? Because if I pay like 300 euros for the Apple Watch, and I pay 300 euros for a, was it yearly subscription, but I can use my Apple Watch for years. So there's some clarity and trust issues there as well.
And as you go through the sort of checkout journey as it was, there's none of this content that you would find that sort of enhances or gives you a confirmation bias. You're making the right decision. There's a little bit around community, but that's quite vague. There's not a huge amount of social proof, information about analytics and the strap. But the pictures that we were seeing of the professionals wearing it and the people doing activities, it just wasn't here. And even on the next page, it just is a very functional form. And you could lead yourself going, well, I'm not sure if I'm convinced enough at this point. Whereas if you had additional types of content that could help push and persuade you, it may help get over some of those hurdles that we did say we were having with price. Whereas at the moment, all the sort of benefits and all the sense that you would get from wearing this product have been taken away with just a very functional page. How many people have Whoop bands, and what kind of messaging can you show here that tells me that this is a good thing to do for my lifestyle long term? If I'm thinking, oh, I just want to get fit for the summer, then maybe it's not what they're trying to sell, which is a lifestyle where you will wear this continually. And you can't always assume that people will have seen that content first, made up their mind, and now are going through this journey, because the only place that you can see information about the price is by going into this join phase. So I think that's an interesting thing to point out, that if you're looking at price, you're now no longer talking about the product, and then the decision is purely a cost one.
Where would you focus first, based on the discussions today? If you were working with Whoop to optimize their site, what would you tackle first?
I think I would definitely tackle the trust issue, the comparison thing. Yeah.
Okay, great. Paul, what about you? Where do you think the main opportunities lie?
I think it lies in pricing in general. Anywhere where people are having to make a choice over different costs, really making that crystal clear and easy to explain, and not just making it a monetary value, but making it a lifestyle decision, which I think will make it easier for people to choose between the differences. I think that secondary to that would be, if you are going to show some sort of event that you're wanting to promote, be mindful that there will be people visiting who know nothing about your product, who just want to find out information about it. It was their moment to do some research. And if you don't show anything about the product, and there isn't a core journey that you can still continue to use, you could alienate them a lot. And we might just be sort of critiquing it at a very particular moment in time. But this was when we were looking at it. And I think we all agreed that it didn't really explain a lot about the product. They could have done this in other ways, not on the homepage. And I think that was a big challenge that they were struggling with, or we were struggling with when we were trying to look at it.
So for me, I think I agree with both of you in terms of the priority areas. I guess one of the things that I talked about earlier was around that friction point with the strap, and how I guess that kind of relates to both of your topics about pricing clarity and also about trust, and brings them in quite nicely together. I actually noticed another section as we were going through where it kind of said strap included, and there was actually pictures of multiple different colored straps, and it actually still said included. So I think for me, quite a quick and easy change, but that could help really alleviate a friction point, is around that kind of messaging around that the strap being included or not, and making sure that we're not frustrating users in that way. Okay, that's it for today. We would love to do more of these videos, and to get some more engagement from the community with regards to these sessions. So we'd love to know if you've got any comments or thoughts. If you're from Whoop and you have any thoughts on our feedback, then we'd love to know. And also, if you would like us to include your website in a future episode, or you would like to be a guest on a future episode, then also just give us a shout in the comments. And we'd love to hear from you.